our secret to our success, we've got people, one of our folks just retired 42 years. We actually still have one person that came with the original store 50 years ago.
You're kidding.
He's still there. Every car that is detailed at our BMW store from brand new, when the car comes off and they pull the plastic, he pulls the plastic, Orbital polishes the car, wipes it in and out. So if you're going to take away your new BMW for the last 50 years, there's probably about a 99% chance he was the person that touched your car.
Oh, wow.
And his wife works there.
Wow. Family affair.
Yeah, him and his wife. So his wife comes on Saturday or at the end of the month when we get a big push. But yeah, they've been with us 50 years.
Must be doing something right.
I hope so, yeah.
Welcome to The Roll Call, the podcast where we dive into the roles that define us. I'm your host, John Glahn. On each episode, we explore the journeys of people discovering their true roles in life, business, and beyond. Get ready for inspiring conversations about finding purpose and authenticity. Let's roll the roll call.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Roll Call. I'm John Glahn. I have with me Joe Perillo, who is a serial entrepreneur, real estate mogul. I'm putting those words out there. He didn't say that. And has just some really cool businesses, and just in the short time that I've gotten to know him is an absolute riot, and we're gonna have a ball. So Joe's here, I'm here, everyone's accounted for. Let's start the roll call.
What's happened? I think you way overstated my resume.
Yeah.
Been in the car business since I'm about 8 years old.
Really?
Yeah, family business. Knocking on about. We just had 50-year celebration.
Wow.
Family made me, jump in at a real early age. That's one of the major loves of my life. Real estate mogul. Yeah, that may be a stretch too.
Oh, you said you like real estate.
I love real estate.
Yeah.
So, didn't know what we were going to talk about, but if I had to say, hey, what's something we're going to talk about, I'm going to come back to what we even opened up with. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, it's really a lot of work, no fun.
Yeah.
So, I see no reason to get out of the car business or get out of real estate just because I still get that rush.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
All right. So you're not just in the car business. What actually is your car business?
Like I said, we have a few things. We have retail stores in Chicago. Main store that we're known for is BMW downtown. And then through the years, we've got a few other stores, higher end stores, Lamborghini, Bentley, Rolls, Bugatti, a few other things. And those are great, and we're passionate about that. But BMW is really like, that's my youth.
Yeah. So that's where your family was really. That's
really the store that I'm still very heavily responsible for.
Okay. And wow. I mean, to be in Chicago. So when you were 8, is that when your family started it when you were 8, or that's when you got you started?
No, my dad started, basically 50 years ago. I think I was just 5.
Wow.
But he let me have the first few years off.
As a 5 and 6 year.
Yeah. Then when I was about 8, he would do funny things, like he'd be in the showroom and he'd be pushing a broom. He's like, "Oh, I know how to do this. Do you want to do it? I really shouldn't let you do it." And I'd be like, "Dad, let me try it." So he kind of did those things until, 6 days a week. That's where I started off in the showroom, and then sweeping the streets, and then that's where it all started.
Wow. And in downtown Chicago. Again, that's not, now you're in suburb guy, you're in the east side. I'm a suburb guy on the west side of Detroit, right? There's a different feel about a suburb auto mart and all that kind of stuff, but downtown Chicago, right? That's got to be interesting.
Yeah, I really don't have any much experience in the suburban auto market, but as far as Chicago, completely different animal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the suburban deal is an easy deal.
Yeah.
But it's different. You've got larger plots of land. Everything's one level. Where the city, you've got multi-floors. You've got off-site locations. You've got trucks that got to be delivered. You got traffic patterns.
Oh.
You're basically all day long trying to play, where's Elmo? Where's the car? And through the years you come up with better systems to track these cars, find these cars. But where the suburbs, again, they've got their own challenges, but it's, Johnny, could you go get the car? And it's kind of right there in most stores, not all stores.
Yeah, right.
But the city, it's a lot of, ramps.
Oof.
It's a lot of ramps, a lot of off-site buildings.
A lot of logistics, a lot of overhead, lots of extras.
A lot of overhead. Yeah, a lot of overhead. But, our secret to our success, we've got people. One of our folks just retired 42 years. We actually still have one person that came with the original store 50 years ago.
You're kidding.
He's still there. Every car that is detailed at our BMW store from brand new, when the car comes off and they pull the plastic, he pulls the plastic, Orbital polishes the car, wipes it in and out. So if you're going to take away your new BMW for the last 50 years, there's probably about a 99% chance he was the person that touched your car.
Oh, wow.
And his wife works there.
Wow. Family affair.
Yeah, him and his wife. So his wife comes on Saturday or at the end of the month when we get a big push. But they've been with us 50 years.
Must be doing something right.
I hope so, yeah. We still have people that we've hired, 25, 30 years. That's kind of like a big number.
Yeah.
Let's say there's just 100 people. You've probably got 30, 40 that have been there 20 to 30, 35.
Wow. And
a lot of them started off 17, 18, 19. They're in their mid-40s. They're in their mid-50s. And it's just it's
wow.
It's really a family affair. It's
cool.
Awesome. It's
So what's your role now?
Well, I'm still in the same basic role at the store. When I was just turned 27, so that was 28 years ago. I'd been selling cars for about 7, 8 years, and my dad let his manager go. And, him and the guy had a disagreement. They blew out. And then my dad said, come sit in my office. And he said, sit down. I'm going to give you a shot. I'm going to put the hat on your head, and I'm going to give you a shot. And you ain't got a lot of time. He said, I'll throw you the out. And I looked at him. I said, don't worry, I got this. And that was 28 years. And basically, it's been 28 years. That's been my gig. So I guess they call that, they call me a vice president. I call myself Mickey Mouse. Hey, folks, thanks for coming. Hope you enjoy the car.
So do you think, are you doing more of like the operation side of things? Or are you doing, I don't know, more of the planning, the strategy?
Yeah, I'd say about 14 years ago, after being down in the showroom about 20 years, I had a little talk with my family, and I just said, listen, I'm kind of in a box here. I absolutely love the car business. And I sat down, and I was trying to be thoughtful in the way I was going to approach it. And I wrote down 40 things I love about the car business. I love, first I love our people. I love our customers. I love BMW. I like sales. I love service. I like dealing with all this stuff. But on the one side of my ledger was the one word that I didn't feel that I had an opportunity to achieve, and that was independence. And what's frustrating when you run something like that is you're taking all of your energy, and all day long you're working in it. And I knew that if I could just take a step back with the talented people that we had and the great customers that we have, that you could transition from working in it to on it. And so basically, that's my day-to-day role. And it's not to bore you. The guy who runs our service department started off with 17 years old. He's been managing the service department 20 years now. He's 50.
Yeah.
51. The manager that runs our new car department, I'm not going to disclose her age, but she started 33 years ago.
Yeah.
You could just hopscotch around the board.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of similar tales all through. So we're not more numbers driven like most business. We're not numbers business. We're more just let's just make the best decisions we can, and just keep this thing, rocking and rolling.
what gave you the foresight? Because that's a common language that I use with my clients, right? Is whenever I come, on a quarterly basis, after we've done it for a while, on a quarterly basis, I help them get out of their business to work on it, right? Because you have to get away from it in order to work on it. What was it that made you? Did you come up with that thought independently?
Well,
Speaking of independence,
it kind of creeped in my head years and years ago, because what happens is car dealerships, you're basically there 10, 11 hours a day. Okay, let's just call it 10.
Yeah. 6 days a week.
You'd have a day off during the week, and then you'd have Sunday off. So you never have 2 days off, really, more or less, than to heal. So basically, it was just, you get frustrated because you say, okay, Monday's the day. I want to do this. Everyone's got to get together. Let's nail this. Let's get it done. All of a sudden, you walk in to work, and I'd pull up, and then people would start lining up like penguins. It was like an Apple store, and everyone wants to just kind of work with you. I created my own little, I don't want to say my own little prison, but it was my own little prison where, even though I'd empowered people, and people empowered themselves to become selectively lazy or stupid. Meaning,
yeah. They could come to you. They could come to you.
Meaning, someone asks them a question. Oh, Joe's over there. Let's talk to Joe.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe's over there. Oh,
yeah.
So what happened is, you walk in immediately. When you walk in, you kind of get in a defensive posture, and it just this person's off, that person's out to lunch, this person's there. We can't get in. Okay, we're going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And tomorrow never came. You just keep kicking the can down the road. So I'd look at 10 hours of the day, and I only really got to accomplish what I really set out to do. Little drips and drabs, hour, 2 hours. And so that was frustrating. And I didn't know how to get out of that box. And so between that and then, getting older, at some point, I was single for a long time. At some point, I said, whatever I'm doing is not right. So when I went with that left side, right side, that was the business side of it. But there was probably one of the bigger drivers was the personal side of it. You hit a certain age after all these years, and car business was awesome, and Chicago's an amazing town. But you got out of work at 9:30. You're all amped up. Now you got to go. You're eating late. You're going out, probably drinking.
Yep.
So you got a little time to find food, find wine, find romance, rinse and repeat. Yeah. So I just had to, say to my family, besides my parents, besides this one, unless you want me to, marry a nice bartender or, stripper or whatever. I said, when do the little girl that you want me to meet at church?
Yeah.
She ain't there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've done this long enough to know. And, and I met a lot of awesome girls. Chicago girls were dynamite. I married the best girl here in the state of Michigan. That's what got me here.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock at night till 3, 4 in the morning. Yeah, I just couldn't find myself getting amped up, working all day long, and then just going home and flipping the tube.
Yeah.
So that was probably even almost one of the bigger deal. Was I just looked down the road and I said, this is the cycle's never going to end, and it's probably not going to be good.
So you when you were explaining, hey, I did this right side, and you're like, I thought I did it thoughtfully. How was it received?
Well, actually, really well. My parents both took, and my parents are, we'll just say, more old school, very firm, very fair.
Yeah.
It's a family business, so everyone's really passionate, and I was kind of like, the driving force. You go in, traditionally, there's been customers for decades that were used to seeing me and staff seeing me. So I thought I was going to get met with probably a little hostility.
Yeah.
Some, let's talk about it. Let's do this. Let's do that. And both my parents just said, listen, you're my son, our son.
Yeah.
We love you. if you're not happy, you know, you got to do what you think is best. And ultimately, what I'd said is, I'm not going anywhere. My physical presence will not be here. I just need independence. I also am not naive. This is probably real new for you as far as, but I would always say, like, you know, these large conglomerates that own 20 stores, 30 stores, they don't have 50 kids.
Yeah.
They've got people. And the funny thing about us is we not only have people, we have great people.
Yeah.
So I said, let me just keep working with them. I could either pop in, I can go by phone, I can go by internet, and we'll just, you know, since 8, I've been sweeping the floor. I know every corner of this place. We know all the players. Yeah. I said, at some point, like, I almost feel like the quarterback, but I'm on for 59 minutes. Yeah. I said, so we've got to build a little defensive line. I'm tired of getting sacked.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's getting a little old. I said, we got to slide someone else.
Yeah.
I kind of got to go to the box and let me watch this game and let's all work together. And there's no doubt about it, was the best move. Once I did do that, I met my wife 6 months later, a year later.
Yeah.
Yeah, at a restaurant. And I don't feel, if I would have stayed there and had that, I don't think I'd be sitting with you right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then when did you end up moving here to Michigan?
I moved to Michigan. I'm going to say 2011. I'd say I've been here almost 15 years. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So then,
actually transitioned the first year and a half. I knew my wife. I would come here for a week or two. She'd come out there, and that's kind of how I got my routine down. Sure. With even working,
how to figure it out,
being away. Yeah. Forced you to figure it out.
Yeah. Awesome. So before it was a thing, right? Before working remote was like the in vogue thing that now everyone does, and it is odd, right? Because the autos world, I have a few friends in that business, right? It is, and so people that are families that have been in the business, and you can become a slave to the grind, right? Because it's like the physical presence is generally thought to be needed, right? To physically sell a car, to physically shake a hand, to physically sign documents, to, on down the line.
I'm going to give you another little tidbit. The gal who's been with me 33 years, who's my manager for new car sales, about 5 years ago, just said, Joe, I absolutely love this place. She said, this is this is my thing. I've never got married. I didn't have any kids. Oh. This is my family. I love this place. I got to get out of Chicago. Mm. She says, you know what? I've been here for the last, what have you. I need to change the scenery. And I know it's hard for me to tell you, I got to leave. I said, where are you going to go? She said, the mass exodus right now is going to Florida. She goes, I'm getting older. She's not much older than me, but everyone's dramatic. Yeah. But she said, a lot of our customers are going to Naples. Yeah. I said, have you been to Naples? She said, no. I said, I'm here right now. Let me buy you a plane ticket. Come on out here. So she came out here and we talked, and I said, here's what we're going to do. Let's give it a shot. Rather than you start off, you're a manager now. This is going to be tough to get a sales manager gig, in a substantial market or store, especially like Naples. You're not walking into a BMW store in there and someone's like, yeah, I'm the manager. They're going to make an example out of you. This is how we do it here. You were Perillo. Yeah, Perillo's this. We're going to show you how it's done. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't, but it's not far-fetched. And I said, well, here, why don't we do this? Let's just get you go rent an apartment. I'll let you manage the sales department, new cars, remotely. She said, you do that? She said, it's kind of insane, but I like it. I said, Chris, I've been doing this remotely. You know all the clients. You got 16, 17 salespeople. 8 or 9 of them you've known for 20 to 26 years. It's not like we're a pawn shop. What do you say? I mean, the customers know you. Majority of people, I said, I bet you after your first 6 months, 2 years, no one will even know you're remote.
Yeah.
And that's been 5 years. And then I had another salesperson who left. He's from Adrian, Michigan. Had a kid, him and his wife are, and they wanted to be by their family. And he said, Joe, I just love this place. At that time, that was almost 5 years ago. He said, we call him a newbie. At that time, I think he was only with us 13, 14.
Yeah, still fresh. Yeah.
And I said, dude, why don't you just sell your customers remote? Plus, online, we'll just distribute leads. We get a lot of out-of-state leads on vehicles because some of them, you get inquiries all over. He said, you'd let me do that? I said, yeah. And then I had another 27 or 28-year employee that said, hey, listen, my mom's getting old. I want to move here. I want to move there. I said, remote. She said, it'll never work. I said, what do you got to lose? And then I hired another gentleman who'd been almost 25 years in the BMW world right here in Michigan. And both stores were sold. Both stores are great dealers. I'm not picking on them. But evidently they couldn't come to terms. And I met him up in Troy. I hired him on the spot. Now he's been with us 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I think you could kind of do a hybrid even in a car dealership. But most people would say it's a little non-conventional.
No, that's where I was headed, right? That's just kind of flipping it on its head of what's supposed to be, how to sell a physical product, right?
Yeah.
So when did the other, because I know you said you've got obviously Lamborghini, other dealers, other manufacturers. When did those come into play?
That was around 2009. Remember when in 2008 when things kind of went down. I'd become friends with a gentleman who owned a store and things were not going right. He was going through a rough patch.
Oh. Classic
tale of someone who started off with small something, bought a lot of stuff, extremely, extremely bright person. 2008 came. He was up to 7, 10 dealerships, 1,000+ cars and banks came in.
A little leveraged.
It was just, as he says, he'll blame himself first, but he goes, man, I wish those banks would have given me all that money. And, to his point.
They allowed it, yeah.
So we had become friends, and then a little after we had met, he said, hey, there's no secrets. You know what's going on. The only thing that I really have that it's something I'd like to try to salvage is I got a Lambo store with a Bentley store with Bugatti, and so we all met up with my dad, and that was in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's got to be exciting and cool, right? It's just different than Joe Blow. It's called exotic for a reason, right? There aren't that many of them around, and it's got to be kind of a cool thing to be a part of.
That is. It's cool stuff.
Yeah. Are parents still involved in the business?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My dad still goes to the BMW store every day. And dresses up like the president of Italy, looks great.
Yeah.
And he loves it. He absolutely loves it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Retirement I don't think is
not in the vocabulary.
What's that?
Not in the vocabulary.
He loves it. He enjoys it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. Let's transition to the other stuff that you got going on, right? You said you dig the real estate game and everything.
Actually, but 20 years ago, I guess I'd made my little plot when I was telling you before that, but I'd started a service business and a body shop.
Okay.
And, been real fortunate, can't believe it. A guy who runs it is unbelievable. His wife's also the brain in our organization. We also picked up a gal who's unbelievable. She came from the insurance side and really it's been awesome. So we've got a great team of people, but we started off a little smaller, just doing small jobs, and as things went on, we fixed we fixed a large amount of BMWs. Mm-hmm. We're certified in that brand, but through the years we got certified on the Lambos, the Bentleys, the
Oh yeah.
So we actually get cars from all over the country on that kind of vehicle. I mean, you got a $300,000 or $800,000 car, and something happens to it. It's there's a lot of good places, in their hometown, but do they have the train? We fly our people to Italy. We've flown them to London. We've flown them to, so a lot of the training goes to California. A lot of it. So I mean, you invest in some. Like, I'll give you an example. When I started that company 20 years ago, I started off on a shoestring budget. And when my guys were like, we need a welder, I'm like, a welder? They're like, wow. They're like, we can get a used one for like $1,300, $1,500, but like, they're kind of, guys are kind of saying we got to pony up and buy the one that's $4,500. I'm like, well, who the hell's gonna? I'm like, it's a vanity deal. These guys just want to be Johnny Lunch Bucket. I got the big one. Well, but to put that in the world of those high-end cars, a welder is like $120,000 now. Do you know what I'm saying? Everything's elevated. The booth that I needed for $30,000 is now $200,000. Everything's just at a sick level of precision. But the reason I'm bringing this up isn't to flex on you, but you asked me about real estate. I always had a little thing for it. But what happened is one day, me and my wife, before we were married, we're watching TV, and I love those home remodeling shows. And we're watching. I think it was $1 Million Contract. I don't remember what the thing, but the guy comes in and they're doing New York, and it's high-end places, and I never really gave it a thought. You kind of think a guy's working on a $10 million house, $20 million house. You kind of like almost think like there's a guy with a tuxedo and a bow tie in there sitting there with a little duster going. Right. But, I'm sitting there watching him. He says, yeah, grab Jose. He says, you get him up on the ladder, have him train, And I looked at it, I said, that guy kind of looks like my little Jose. And they're like, yeah, grab Mikey, throw him. He's got to do, And then I said, it's like my guy, Mad Mike, over there. And I said to myself, Joe, this is kind of interesting. I bought a house, and it kind of was working like that. I said, well, this is kind of similar to the car business in my body shop, where I get to go walk around, look, find something, purchase it, reimagine it, grab a great crew together, fix it up, and then find someone that's going to hopefully appreciate what you did. And my real goal, even to now, money is like the 8th on the list. Mm-hmm. I like the pageantry. I like to find. I like to fix it up. So I've got a tenant renting a building right now. She showed me a picture of her outside and inside, what she wants to do with it. It's a smaller thing. It's a cute, great little location, but when she's sending me the little picture with that dopamine I get is probably where most guys who, I've had a few deals, that have been pretty decent. I got the same kind of boost. Yeah. And that's why I kind of just know myself. That's kind of all I'm looking for. I like buying, right now I'm doing a bunch of lots that I have. I want to refill them and the cracks and all that. And now manually I couldn't fix. If I had to hang up a picture for you, I'd grab a soup can and a screw, and I'm terrible with my hands. But I know who to call. This is my tool of choice. But what we've basically done is similar to my stuff. I've got great people that work on our stuff. They all know what to do, and everyone makes it happen. And I just get a major rush from finding stuff and making it cool. Yeah, that's my high. Most people figure me wrong. They're like, Joe, he's about the. I'm not telling you, I'm a non-profit or but,
not charity. Yeah.
But I'm not sitting there like people say, what's your matrix? What do you do? Do you try to make 8%, 10%? What do you? I either like the piece I'm buying or I don't. Yeah. And I'll walk into something that just is, kind of rough and neglected, and I started looking around the place. And I swear you'd have to snap me out of my trance. I almost just see it all happening right before. And I'm like, I got to buy this thing right now. And that's, but I don't get a pen and paper. I do a quick eyeball.
Yeah.
But
your gut, right? Is it
that's it.
It's the trust, right? So on that real estate stuff. So is that more like, again, is it sometimes commercial? Is it buy and hold? Is it flip? What is it that you're getting hit on?
Here's where I'm at the moment. I've flipped a lot of homes here, Naples, and I've enjoyed all of it. It's awesome. There's one little missing component is when I sell it, I'm excited. I'm happy. I buy right in the same street in where I live or one block over or whatever, so I'm always waving to people, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
How you doing? That's part of it. But the piece of me goes from looking at that little thing that I had for 2 years, or a year and a half, or 3 years, or sometimes I land banked them 4 or 5 years, and you're visualizing doing them and you see them done. But then once you sell them, you're happy, but you're like, you feel disconnected. And I didn't like that piece, that component. So I said to myself, I think I'm going to do commercial because I could basically get that same dopamine, taking something that kind of looks a little, battered and making it beautiful. And then just, I could hold it and just kind of be like, with my kids, your mom and dad did that one. Your mom and dad, most stuff I have, people are like, oh, it's my buddy. He owns everything. I own a 1,200 square foot place here, 2,000 square feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've got a few things, but they make it sound like I built like Dan Gilbert. I mean, I've got,
right.
And all the stuff that I've done is Mack Avenue, Harper Avenue, commercial. A few one-offs here and there. But it's people are like, why are you doing it? Could you rob it? Could you buy it cheap? And I like, no, because someone's got to improve it. Yeah. And I rather it just be constantly improved. And like I said, it just makes me happy. I've got so many tenants and, I don't bother anyone, live and let live. But if here, before I got here, I had a leak on a property. I had no problem with sending a guy. You know what I'm saying? All day long. And people are like, Joe, the way that you just respond in like 2 seconds and send someone to the property in like 5 minutes, it's unbelievable. And I said, I'm basically dumb, and lazy. So I have crews that just are right there, the main crew, and then another auxiliary guy that I love. But I let everyone know Monday through Friday, if it's between 7:30 and 4, if something happened, call me. Everything's in like a tight circle, so we could take off and do. I'd rather something's taken care of than not.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, like, are you managing all those things, or do you have a management company, or how? Sounds like you're still pretty hands-on with it, other than the work, right? But you're
I couldn't fix anything, but I basically between me and the one gal that helped is the brain with my body shop as far as all the accounting and all decisions I run by her because I'm ultimately really comfortable with her. She's been through the whole real estate side of it too. So people will either reach out to me or her, and then I just kind of it's no different than the car business. Just dispatch, hey guys, got a roof. Dispatch, that thing fall off. Dispatch, that lights out. Yeah. We just try to knock it out all day long. People are like, this guy is on the phone all day. Because when people text me in regards to something, I immediately get it off my hands, get it off their hands, down the road. And most tenants, they really mostly haven't left me. And most of them, there's an unsaid agreement where I tell them, listen, in the event that you're growing and this place isn't big enough for you, just let me know. It's not like I'm here to hold you back. If you're rocking and rolling, give me a few months. Let me try to place it. And give me a few months, or maybe I have something, or maybe I'll buy some, or even if you just find something right, don't just drop me on the head. But if you got to get out, we're going to work with you. I don't want to hold you back. At the same token, things change. Let's just say you're really struggling. Don't get silent. Tell me, because give me a few months. I'll try to market it. And you can walk the hell out of the lease. Just don't drop me on the head, because the last thing I want to do is have you sit at night and like, oh my God, if I leave and I shut this down, I got a lease. What do I owe? I owe X amount. I got another 2 years or a year, and I don't want to stress them out. I said, listen, just don't drop me on my head like in December or January. But you should be able to see a storm cloud. Like if it's June, July, if it's January and February, and you're like, I don't know, I could, how long you could hold on. Just talk to me, and I will try to figure it out. So I could find someone, I'll put them in your place, and you just walk. Don't even worry about your lease.
That's so unheard of in this world of contracts and dog eat dog and making sure everybody gets every penny. I mean, that's really unheard of, right? Something tells me that comes from the car business, right? I mean,
well, my car business, and then just my parents. My dad always said, "Listen, I mean, there's only one rule that if you ever really want to be successful, the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated." Yeah. And I've seen him with, people or companies very big stature, and he's always fair. Yeah. But he's definitely not silent to call bullshit.
Yeah, right.
He's got a lot of courage, and I like that. But I've also just seen him as like, no way that he's just going to pick on, someone that's, anybody. He's like, my dad's not the kind of pick him up. He'll help out about any person that will help themselves, or is that honest and fair? Now, the second you lie, the second you steal, all bets are off. But if he thinks he's got a hardworking person, and they can't, I've seen him work it out with. He's got tenants that have been with him 30, 40 years. And I've seen sometimes they'll go through a cycle, or the road shut down, or, and their business isn't compacted. My dad tells them, just relax. Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
And where most people, a lot of friends I even know now, they're like, dude, you're just too nice to all your tenants, or what have you. I says, it's not like I'm going to let them go steal everything out of the place. I'm just going to help the guys so they can make it, or not, or if they want to move on, if they're going to boom, let them boom. I'm not going to let a guy hold them back.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. If what I did is have a decent location, and if I think that I updated something where it's pretty, and if I think I'm charging them a reasonable, fair rate, what am I scared of? I'm just going to find someone else who it's their right time. Boom, plug them in, boom, the other person walks out, everyone's happy. You always got to structure a win-win, but I'm not into you sign this, you sign that.
Wow.
Unless someone messed with me, and then the other side.
Yeah, and if you have to dig your claws in, you have mechanisms for that. But
my mother didn't raise a wimp.
So where do you test? Because I've said you've got your hands in a lot of different businesses, a lot of different things. Where do you test that drive, or that your knowledge, or whatever it is, to jump into business?
What's interesting, probably insecurity. I was an awful student. Was not a good student. I probably had what today was a ADHD or whatever, or I think I was very shy. I think I was scared of everything made me scared. Oh. And it goes back to even when I was 8, 9, 10 and working at my dad's stores, like when I was cleaning cars. I always knew I loved work. In school, I struggled. Even college, I used to tell my Mom, D stands for diploma. I'd say departure. I used to say, what do they call a doctor that gets a C? Who's in medical? No, what do they call a guy who gets C's in medical school?
Doctor.
When he graduated, they call him doctor.
Yeah.
But I think I was more humorous. But I kind of just always, even like in college, and I had awesome friends. But I'm saying I just kind of looked to the left, looked to the right, and I always just had I said, basing myself just on anyone. I said I'm not I certainly don't feel like I'm inferior to anyone. There's a lot of kids here who are probably a lot smarter than me. But I always said, I always enjoyed the work. Even when I cleaned when I was a kid, even cars and doing all the crap, I really enjoyed work. Now, by the time I was 16, 17, I kind of did a lot of manual labor. By that time, it was 8, 9 years, and you're like, hey, that piece is done. So I kind of think that's where the rubber meets the road. I went to school, didn't really want to go to college. And I went to Northwood with one of your friends, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I struggled. Northwood was the only school that accepted me. I got turned down at Whitewater in lacrosse. And Northwood accepted me. And I was kind of upset because my plan was I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to work.
Yeah.
But we went to Northwood. We interviewed. And needless to say, they said, we wouldn't turn our back on someone in the automotive family. And my dad's knocking me down. I'm thinking, oh, God. So, yeah, I was 17, and that's the first time I ever set a goal. And my first goal was to not be the first kid to get launched.
Yeah.
And, And so a buddy of mine, Breton from Flint, he got tossed about 5-6 weeks in. That took a lot of pressure off me. And then I had a conversation. I said, I got my whole life to work. I got really cool friends. This school is entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I loved my teachers. I still stayed around that C.
Yeah.
I used to say my grade point average was 2.2. It matched my blood alcohol level. But
that's what college is for, the experience.
Well, I met awesome people. And but I did learn a lot, but my grades didn't probably reflect a lot of it.
Yeah.
But when you get out, that's when the rubber hits the road. You say to myself,
matter.
hey, dude, for years, the D's from degrees, this and that, do you got it or not? And,
Yeah.
At that point, I'd sold cars a couple summers, and then I'd done pretty well. But then full time when I started, that's really when my confidence got going and got into sales, and I absolutely I loved it. But that's where the rubber meets the road. Am I full of shit or no? I mean, one line is going to work here. Or?
That's the thing. Like, actually, and by the way, Northwood here for those in Michigan, right there, and here where we are today doing this interview, there's a lot of guys that went there in the auto business that I'm sure you know them. So it's great entrepreneurial school. Great. I've heard wonderful things about it. But college is just, to me, it's an experience. It doesn't give you any more knowledge. There are some that do learn well. To me, it's you're buying an experience or earning an experience that I think I want my kids to enjoy that part of it.
Absolutely.
But it's not to dictate who they are, get an engineering degree doesn't make you an engineer. Get your business degree doesn't make you a business person, right? It's the shit that we're doing out here in the real world is it makes you that. And again, you being around business is what, that's what I was getting at, right? That experiential learning is what really, really does it. And then jumping in and doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people would say, well, how did you start buying this property in your metrics? I liked it or I don't. I always look at it like, most people say, like, what are you trying to make? And I said, well, I look at it maybe like a fool. Could be. Still won't allege that it's right, but it works for me. I look at it and I say, if I'm buying it for X and I put it's going to be around X, what's the worst I could lose? Yeah. And I start from there and I say, well, God, if I sold it, could I lose 30,000? Yeah. If I can, am I going to have to hawk my dog?
Yeah.
What am I going to have to do here?
Yeah.
And so, I said to myself, well, it costs a guy to go to, Michigan State or Michigan. It costs them at least 30, 40 grand for a lesson.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And again, you got to have luck. If you have luck, I would probably say is the biggest thing. So, we've flipped a lot of homes. I don't know what the number is, but it's not like a dozen. It's a lot more than that. And, I've never really been in that situation. And I'm working on one. Maybe that's the time, but I've never been in a negative position. But usually, because I bought right, I spend the money like it's my money. I try to deliver something that's cool.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I find someone that appreciates what I did.
Yeah.
That's not just like, hey, I can get $12 down the street cheaper, and you got 4,000 feet, so I'm going to offer you, 50,000, whatever the number is.
Right.
So I just kind of believe in what I'm doing.
That's great.
And and with real estate, it's not how I feed my children. I kind of chalk it up as a hobby, even though it's kind of like cycled out. That's not, but yeah, I don't feel like I work at all. Everyone's like, man, you work hard. I was like, what are you talking about? I love cars. I love real estate.
That's great.
I do it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, just because you're doing things doesn't mean it's work, right?
If this was about money, like I invested in the stock market, you know, I'm glued to this thing all day long. I'm up, I'm down, I'm this and that. Yeah. I'm not telling you I hate it. But my personality, because everyone's like, why don't you buy, why don't you sell? And I said, dude, I'll be doing it all day long. You know, I just have whatever the people are with, you know, that I'm with. You know, and it's I'm not Merrill Lynch, right? You know, I'm a small investor, so to speak, but I like that tangible of real estate. Real estate, I just enjoy.
You can control it, right? I mean, there's a difference.
And I've got pride of ownership. Yeah, it's more like just, you know, I worked hard to get this. I worked hard to do that. It's more the dopamine physical thing more than if the stock goes up today, $1,000 or $300 or whatever the number would be.
Yeah.
At this day.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I do like to close in a certain way, but I'm going to do it. I should have started with this way because I want everyone to know, you know, Joe, if you haven't found out by now, right? Good conversationalist. But he came in and he said, you know what? I have a confession to make. And I'm like, oh boy, where are we going? He goes, I've never even listened to a podcast, let alone be on a podcast. So we had a good fun chuckle about that. And he doesn't have a flip phone next to him. It actually is a smartphone. So he does actually, you know, go on the internet and things like that. But I want to say wonderful job. And had a ball. You have a great story. And I do challenge you to do some more of them. But what I do like to do in closing is have my guests come up with and to share with the group a mistake, a failure, a miscue, something in life, personal, professional, whatever it might be, that you learned from that and others could benefit.
Well, I've made so many mistakes. I wouldn't know where to begin. I'm not scared of making mistakes. It's part of the learning. I would probably say just letting people know more about not your business, but listen, people are really interesting. You think that, you know, if you're, you know, I had this image in my head that, God, one day I'm going to do this, I'm going to be successful, and everyone's going to be like, hey, yeah, that's my guy. Yeah. And at surface, that's where you think you're at, but you're a fool if you don't think that there's people out there. I won't say a lot of people. For some, it's more, but I was just a fool thinking I was different. Like people would generally be happy that, you know, like you know, that I've had a bunch of lucky bounces that work really hard, and you know that you know that you've done okay. I think the biggest mistake I made was just being naive and thought everyone would generally be happy, and just kind of like, you know, he's a good guy, he's funny, he's a good family, and whatever. And you know, I just think my biggest mistake was being naive and thinking people would, you know, kind of more so being rooting for you, because I'm a fool. I'm rooting for everyone, man. I hope everyone I know does better than me. Yeah. I hope I'm the dumbest guy of all my friends. I hope whatever you do today, you make like 100 times more, as long as you're happy with it. You're not you're not a dick. I root for people to succeed, and you know, but I'm still always probably going to just keep making that mistake. But it's cool. I'm cool with that.
No, I think that's a wonderful mistake to make from your perspective, from your seat, right? If to be the guy that's rooting for others and expecting that others will do the same. It is amazing how cutthroat it can be, you know, or the crabs in a barrel, you know, the whole deal. You know, the claws come out when money comes out, right? Most people are wonderful. It's funny how whenever an event happens, right? People are like, oh, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. But then mom and dad die. And then look what happens, right? You know, going after the estate or finding money. All of a sudden, when money is involved for a lot of people, then shit matters when it didn't before. So the fact that, and it does spew from you. I totally believe, like, hey, guys, why can't we all just win, right? Like, hey, guy's down on his luck. Why don't we just help him? And then if we help him, I bet something else will show up over here. That's how life can work.
I don't think it'd hurt you.
Yeah, right. Well, Joe, this has been a riot. I am glad we got connected. I'm glad you just stepped in and did it. I know we were trying to get connected to do this, so thanks, man.
I appreciate the invite, man.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well.
Looking forward to hearing my first podcast.
Awesome.
Cool.
I normally say, hey, how can people get in touch with you? But you know what? I'll throw that at you. How do people?
They could. They could. I'm on Facebook if you messenger me.
Awesome.
You know, no, if someone really need to get a hold of me, jp@joeperillo.com.
Awesome.
jp@joeperillo.com.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And you can always get in touch with me. So,
Cool, man.
all right.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone. That's a wrap.
Thanks for tuning in to The Roll Call with John Glahn. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Remember, discovering your true role in life is a journey worth exploring each and every day. Until next time, keep defining your path and living your authentic self. This is John Glahn signing off.